Greetings, everyone. My name is Oladile Dosimo. I am the co-founder of Alkebulan, Emerging Alkebulan. We're about decolonizing the minds and awakening our consciousness. Apologies for today, but I'll let Induku introduce herself and then we'll talk. But our guest is not here at the moment. Consequently, we've been waiting for her to come on, and hence the delay. But Induku.
Yes, habari gani, karibuni, asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. Again, Duko is the name. I am the host on Kumbukeni. I have to gather my thoughts now.
Yeah.
I'm the host on Kumbukeni, an African woman born and raised in Kenya. Recently realized that the world we've been told, what we've been told the world has been a big fat lie. Have been investing in finding out the truth for the last 4 years through reading, speaking with others who've read, being in community with our people, and making a conscious decision to start Kumbukeni and have these conversations from our own perspective, because it's been too long that we've had them Zungu telling us who we are, what is wrong with us, how we can solve our problems, right? And this is why I don't entertain when we have Wazungu in the audience telling us what they can do to help us. And I don't think any one of us should have. So without our guest today, myself and my brother have decided we'll just have a chat about different things, I guess, books we are reading, challenges we are facing, and this question of race, and what we think about it. So that's what we're going to do. And you can all help us. Yes, you can all, greetings, Mabella. You can all help us by suggesting questions that you want to talk about, issues that you've been facing, things that you've been encountering online, right? Have you been on Instagram? Have you seen something ridiculous posted there? Put it in the chat so that we can have a discussion. So today it's an open discussion. Did you go to work? Did you experience a microaggression this week? Tell us about it. Let's have a discussion about that. This will be a chance for us to be in Mbongi and have a conversation, as much as it is public to some extent, between ourselves. So, Oladile.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges going on within the diaspora and the continent of Africa. Even though the topic was about there's only one race, there's a human race, but it been good for Jane to actually discuss this because she's coming from a Caucasian perspective. But as Africans, we know where we are in terms of the race. Obviously, there's I'd say white supremacy that lords it over the rest of the world. So basically, we are where we are because they want to be superior, even though they're not. Even though we Alkebulans are the foundation of humanity, we are mother of mankind. So they basically flip the script to basically superimpose themselves on the hierarchy. But saying that, there are challenges, guys, and we Africans need to wake up for the fact that we are where we are because our mystic education. I like to emphasize partly religious indoctrination, which is number one. This is the biggest one, because I like to emphasize that because a lot of us don't want to go there. They're thinking you can be a Christian, you can be a Muslim, and be in the revolutionary. Unfortunately, once you take sides, it's a bit difficult for you to see clearly because you're basically linked to one of the systems that you use to basically decolonize our minds. So what are our challenges as Africans? How can we get to where we need to get to? This is the question. This is basically what with the work myself and Unduku are doing. How can we get to where we need to get to? Because as you see this, all I do is more here. I'm sick and tired. I'm tired and sick of basically using the same systems that the colonizers, oppressors are built for us to fit into. So far, as you can see, Africa today, all we're doing is fitting into the systems that they built. For every single system that we fit into, they built. Basically, your education, your agriculture, your economics, everything system, your curriculum in your schools in Africa today is colonial. So a lot of us are coconuts, unfortunately, because we look black, but we think white. So how do we decolonize our minds to actually be truly African, truly Alkebulan? Guys, I say this and I emphasize it all the time. We have systems in place. And trust me, our systems were never perfect. Just like the Caucasian systems were never perfect, but we had foundational systems that actually served our ancestors the right way for years. And they worked for us. And there are a few things that we can discard, and there are a few things that we need to get back to. We're talking about Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a foundational principle. In my Yoruba language, they call it Agbajowa Lafinsoya. Ubuntu means I am because you are because I am. It's collective communal empowerment where nobody lacks. We have this system in place where, if you look in Africa in those days, there was no poverty. We had everything we needed to sustain ourselves. We had everything we needed. So there basically was no ostentatious, there was no, all the things that we're chasing, the trinkets and mirrors that we're chasing today, I call it all the time. We're chasing all these things today. But do those things actually define us as Africans? Do they empower us? Because all you do, or what it does, is basically makes you look good. And how many of us? Probably 5% maximum. But what about the rest of us? What I'm trying to say, and what I'm going around, is basically, for us to build Africa, the Africa we want, that means we all need to be empowered. The wealth cannot be concentrated in the hands of a few people. When the wealth is concentrated in the hands of loads of people, then there'll be no poverty. And this is what the Western system does not want you to be part of. They want you to be part of their death economy, which is what John Perkins calls it. But don't forget, we Africans have the life economy. The life economy means everybody's empowered. Everybody has abundance. So basically, we can sustain ourselves without looking outwards. But what they've done to us is basically made us look to them for solutions. And now what we're doing, we're discarding what we had that worked for us. And as I go through this journey, I find out that a lot of we Africans find it so difficult to basically look inwards and say, you know what? Because once one few of us have a car, a house, and a few things here and there, you're so comfortable thinking, okay, you've arrived. But you were just one or two people who have. Look at the majority of Africa today. There's poverty ridden. And the reason why there's poverty in Africa today is simply because we're following a colonial system of lack. They created lack. We never had lack. And as much as we try to fit into the lack economy, how many people you think are going to be fulfilled or have the money? It's impossible, because the hierarchy has been created for only a few to be rich, whereas everybody are basically at the bottom of the pile, looking upwards, trying to get up there, but they will never get there. So what I'm trying to say here is, we as Africans, we need to look at solutions that empower us as Africans. We cannot use the colonial system, the oppressive system that they brought, because they brought the system to Africa. They brought it to us. We cannot use that system to empower ourselves. So what we're saying here is, we need to develop a system. It's a hard thing to do. A lot of us struggle to think it, but we're going to start from somewhere, guys. We have to do something, because if we carry on the way we're going, it's called a death economy. And when we talk about death, just look at Africa today. It's disease ridden. Basically, all the disease that you see in Africa today is not even our diseases. It's things that they've superimposed, they brought to us. Because why is it getting its effect? It's because we are copying systems that alien to us, that they've brought to us. We are not confident in ourselves anymore. We lost our self-value. We lost our dignity. We cannot uphold ourselves as Africans, say, you know what, you guys sod your crap. Let's get back to what worked for us. We don't want to do that anymore, because it's a work that needs to be done, but most of us don't want to do the work. We rather fit into their death systems instead of doing the work that's going to bring life to us. Anyway, let me just stop there. I'll let Unduku interject, man. That's my little, that's what I'm starting with today. We need to start thinking. We need to start thinking differently, do things differently. We can never, ever use all the things that we used in the past to get us to where we need to get to. It's not working. I'm Nigerian. I look at Nigeria today, and it's sad how things are bad. Don't forget, we've followed the democratic system, or they colonized us. They gave us independence, flag independence. Yeah, they gave us. But the moment they stepped their foot on the continent Africa, things has begun to go downhill, and it's continuing to go downhill simply because we are not sitting up and doing, you know what, we need to stop this. Look at the Sahel trio, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They're doing something different, something revolutionary. But I'm sure a lot of our audience here will be sitting there thinking, yeah, they're not democratic. Who gives a shit about democratic processes, which doesn't work for us? The democratic process is not even our process. It's basically what they impose on us.
And who is democratic? The United States is not democratic.
And if you look how the democratic system works anyway, it's not really democratic anyway. It's just an illusion of inclusion. that makes you think that you voted for a particular people, but the
Mm.
candidate's already been decided anyway. And don't forget, when they do the process, they never lose, because whoever you vote for is always going to do the bidding of the white man. Don't forget that. So this is an open conversation. If you have any suggestions, anything you want us to talk about today, please feel free. Unduku.
So thank you for those who are starting to put in your topics and issues that you want discussed. And I'm going to start with um, Maboma. Thank you so much for submitting that one. And yes, Maboma is many villages. Boma moja, Maboma mengi. Why do many Africans, especially continental ones, believe that being an African is merely a term of birth, geo-residence, such that Elon Musk and Charlize Theron is an African, but Steve Harvey is not? Thank you so much for asking this question. And it's going to go back to race, honestly,
Yeah.
or this social construct of race, right? But you're right. And I see this mostly, and I am speaking as an outsider, my South African brothers and sisters. So please do give me grace and understanding. I'm speaking as an outsider. The perspective I'm giving, I'm acknowledging, is from the outside. So if things are different on the inside, we can only find out if you tell us. So you're welcome
Yeah.
to come on Kumbukeni and tell us. You're welcome to reach out to us and tell us what is actually happening if what we're saying is happening is not right. So kumbukeni1@gmail.com. That's the email. Reach out to us. But this is a problem we've talked about. I think we had a session on Kumbukeni where we were talking about who is an African. We had Lagoke, Nyaka Lagoke, Milton back then was still with us. And I am one who is against considering white people Africans, right? I am one who is against considering Indians Africans. I don't care if they were born there. The way they came, the way their ancestors came, was not in a we're welcoming you, this is your home, you can be here, we can. No, it was in a confrontational way. There was conflict. They invaded our land. The white people invaded our land. The Arabs invaded our land. They killed our ancestors, and they have never healed, they have never repaired that harm. So for us to be the people who then sit back and decide, oh, so now you're going to be one of us, you're African, is the most ridiculous thing ever. And for you who now hears me say that and thinks that I'm ridiculous for saying that, you need to go look in the mirror and ask yourself why you think that way as a Mwana Ubuntu, as an African, because that is very concerning. You have, and let me see whether I can find a good analogy, right? Someone comes to my home, they invade, they take over, and we are put, let's say I have a nice big home, they push us to the basement, that's where we're going to be, right? They lock the door and they only open it when they want to. They give us whatever food they want to whenever they want to. We can only go out when they tell us we can go out. In other words, they're controlling our every move, our every experience, right? And then they are living lavishly in our house. Remember, it's our house everywhere. They're doing whatever they want, they're thriving and all of that. And then we I have this is a side note. I have a friend who just messaged, a German Shepherd dog will never be an American Shepherd dog. It will always be a German fucking Shepherd wherever it goes. That is me who had added the fact, because you have German Shepherds in Kenya and you still call them German Shepherds. Like, stop and think about that. I'm digressing from my analogy. I will get back. You have German Shepherds in Kenya and you're still calling them German Shepherd. So why do you have a Mzungu in Kenya and you're calling him an African? Why? If you get it with a dog, why don't you get it with a human? Right? A German Shepherd will never be a pit bull, even if it's born around pit bulls. Never. So going back to my analogy, they are living in the house, right? And then we, while still in the basement and still being controlled and subjugated in the basement and oppressed, we decide, oh, they are one of us. Now, let's say I am a Mulumba, right? So that was a Mulumba household. The Mulumbas upstairs are doing just fine. right? The Mulumbas upstairs are suggesting this. The Mulumbas upstairs, like, how crazy is that shit? And you all are just doing it as if it's normal. So this is like, sometimes we have to give extreme analogies to understand that we are acting in a way that doesn't make sense, in a very illogical way. So my brother, my sister, whoever you are, I don't think Elon Musk is an African. I don't think Charlize Theron is an African. I think Charlize Theron and Elon Musk are descendants of invaders of Africa, right? They are Wazungu. And in fact, if you see how they carry themselves, they don't carry themselves as African. Here's the thing: the people we call African, the people we want to embrace as African, they are anti-African. Are they practicing African spirituality? Are they? Because that's what being African is. Or are they against African spirituality? So why are you calling them African? If they're telling you follow Islam, if they're telling you follow Christianity, if they're telling you follow capitalism and they know what it does to an African, if they're telling you be democratic and they know what it does to an African, why are you calling them an African? If they're anti-African spirituality, why are you calling them an African? Like, we just have to ask ourselves those simple questions. And then now moving to the question of race. And I was looking forward to having our guests because I agree and disagree with Jane Elliott, right? I agree and disagree. And I remember watching one of her videos, and she's talking about the blue, the experience. She doesn't like to call it an experiment, and I agree with her on that. The experience that she had, where she set up a situation, an experience where some people had blue eyes, brown eyes, all white people, green eyes and all that. And using their eyes, they created a structure, a hierarchical structure, where certain people were above others based on their eye color. I think they put the brown people above. And then she, as a blue-eyed person, was below them. And she said, I understood what it was to be subjugated. I understood what it was. And I wanted to say to Jane Elliott, you can never understand the experience of a Black person. Never. I don't care how many experiences you set up, you can never. You can say, I had an idea of what it could be to be Black, but you can never understand it. Never, ever, ever, unless you're Black. And that is the one thing that white people who venture into this field of understanding Black people, or advocating for us, must understand. You will never, just like I will never be able to understand the experience of a white person, the privilege that comes with whiteness. I'll never understand what being a man is, and I have to shut up and listen to a man tell me what being a man is, right? I can understand what being a child is. I've been that. I can understand what being a woman is. I can understand what being a Kenyan is. I cannot even understand what being a Nigerian is, because I've never lived that. I've never experienced it. So you can have an idea, but you can never understand. So that's one thing I was going to have to bring up today with Jane Elliott. But going back to the issue of race, listen, all right, my friend just dropped another one, but we'll discuss that in a minute. Going back to the issue of race. So, and every time this topic comes, I remind myself of when I was a child in Kenya growing up. I remember, and you all can tell me whether I'm wrong, especially my Kenyan brothers and sisters. I remember us sitting and being told human race, and then species and all that, right? There was just a human race. And we all continued knowing human race, at least until some of us came into these lands, like the United States, and found out very quickly that there were multiple races: the Black race, the white race, Caucasian race, and what does Mama Kanyisile say? Mongoloid. Those are the three races. And we can all sit and say, and we can all go along with Jane Elliott and say there's no race, right? There's only human race. But the unfortunate truth and the fact is that race and racism has been used to subjugate. So we don't have the luxury, especially those of us who are subjugated, do not have the luxury to say there's no longer race, because it's still being used against us, right? Race is socially constructed and weaponized to subjugate African people, right? It was definitely socially constructed in Europe when they decided they were going to enslave us, when they decided that we were going to be the servant class, because they needed to justify it. And then their science backed it up. by doing fake tests. And I need your question. Do you mind sending it to me or putting it in the chat on the yes. So it is being used against us. So we who are subjugated do not have the luxury to say there's no race. Racism does not exist because it is in the system, it is in the laws, it is in everything that we do, and it is being used to deny us access to resources. It is being used to deny us access to our humanity. It is being used to deny us access to being who we are, right? So we don't have the luxury. White people have the luxury to say, let's move beyond it. We are one human race. They do, because
Yeah.
they've never been subjugated. With them, all they have to do is, like, they're still in a position of privilege. So they have the luxury to say that. The laws are not constructed to subjugate them. The laws are
Right?
not constructed
So
to
we cannot,
discriminate
we don't have the
against
luxury.
them. So they have the luxury to say, let's forget about that, let's start this. And then also, racial hierarchies today, they continue to perpetuate systemic oppression through neocolonialism, right? Even the way they deal with our leaders compared to how they deal with European leaders. And like I've said before on this space, I was working with the federal government. The federal government has partners that it considers better partners than others, right?
And yeah.
You have Australia, the US, England, France, Canada. Those are partners that they consider tight. And when you look at all of those, they're white facing. And then African nations are partners, but not really partners. The way they treat these five compared to the way they treat African nations is completely different. The United Nations itself, the structure of the United Nations itself, the Security Council, should tell you that race is being used against us, and we don't have the luxury of saying race does not exist. So as much as I would love to embrace the results of the experiences that Jane Elliott put together and had white people go through, we Black people do not have the luxury to say racism or race does not exist. And let's just call all of us, like, we're the human race. Forget about Black people, white people, green people, orange people. We are the human race. We're not there yet. Maybe one day we'll get there, but we're not there yet. And the one thing that, and I like that Jane uses or does, her experiences are geared towards white people. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So if you're white and you're advocating for Black people, your job is with your people. Your job is to talk to the crazies in your community. Your job is to deal with the racism in your community. Your job is not to come to us and tell us what time it is. We know what time it is. We experience what time it is every day. So these are just the things that we need to talk about. Oladile, what else is in the chat? I'm seeing something else came in.
Yeah, somebody was asking me about what's my religion?
Hey,
Additional,
and, and maybe that's the time to talk about this. But quickly,
yeah.
my so apparently this is the result of the whole conversation we're having, right? Is a result of the confusion and lack of understanding. Are you saying that Johann Blumenberg is the orchestrator of race? Yeah. So apparently this whole thing about, and I'm going to put it in the chat, I'm going to put that name in the chat, is the person, this German is the person who orchestrated the idea, the concept of race. But my friend's another opinion that he had, and we can add it to the conversation, is this is the result of the confusion and lack of understanding of nationality, ethnicity, religion, and culture. Most humans are confused by this subject and topic, this subject of race. So let's continue, Oladile. I don't know if you want to jump into religion or talk about it some more, and then we'll get into
Yeah, my brother was asking me. He said he made a shift from return to ancestral spirituality philosophy. My brother, additional. I used to be a Christian, born into it. I used to be a high ranking in the church, but I like when you're in there, you kind of just notice that your spirit, there's no spiritual connection. You're doing all these things, but nothing seems to shift, nothing seems to change. So I had an awakening, and I've told this story before. My wife and I, basically, I didn't know she was thinking the same thing, that she wanted to leave the church. I already have, I was uncomfortable about being in the church anyway, because whenever we're in the meetings, I'm the ones always asking questions. Everybody else will say nothing, but I'm asking questions. Why this? Why that? So, and 9 out of 10 times when I ask the questions, basically my pastor will actually agree with what I'm saying, but that's about it. It doesn't go any further. And my wife was saying the same thing. My wife had a dream that say, you know what, whatever you're gonna do, it's not confined to these kind of four walls. It's the dream said what you have to do is actually bigger than all four. You need to be out there. You can't be in here because whatever I've given you is not meant to be. And when this kind of dreams, yeah, you take it to church and they're going to interpret it a different way. But we kind of understood exactly because the fact that we've been uncomfortable with the church basically tells us that, you know what, it's time to get away from the church. And we stepped away from the church. And one thing I'll say, this is my wife's experience and my experience, is basically the biggest thing, the best thing we've ever done. Because the moment you step away from the church, the scales come off your eyes. You think differently. You're not confined to fear, death, all these things that they used to hold you down. You're not bound by those things no more. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. If you don't do this, basically that's what Christianity, that's what Islam does. Basically, there's a dangling stick trying to beat you up if you don't do particular things. Answer to that question: I'm a spiritual person. I believe in my Creator. And my Creator speaks to me every single day. I don't need no prayer contractor. I don't need no person. Basically, I have a direct access. When they say spirit, the Christians call it Holy Spirit, but Holy Spirit is just it's a Christianity term. It basically means the spirit in you. Every person that God created has a spirit in them. So you basically have a direct access to your God. God speaks to you every single day. You don't have to read a book or go through a book or a script for God to speak to you. Even a kid has a spirit in them. They know right from wrong without even reading a book. So I'm not a Christian, and my journey is basically taking me away from Christianity because we've realized that they're using religion, Christianity, whatever it is, to beat us in a weapon, to basically keep us where we are. It stops us from using our critical thinking to wake up to who we are as Africans. And I say to people, in this journey of decolonizing your minds, as long as you hang on to a religion or the other, you're not going to be fully emancipated because you're going to have something that you're still hanging on to. So myself and Unduku, we're on this journey and we're building stuff behind the scenes that, we're building. And for us to get to where we need to get to, we need to break down all the tentacles, everything. Religion is one of them. We need to break it down because basically at the end of the day, it basically confines you. The educational system that we've adopted needs to be broken down. The economic system that we adopted, it needs to go. The politics needs to go. Everything that we've copied from them, like I said before, it's a death thing. So, yeah, going back to that question, I'm spiritual. I'm connected to my God directly, and God and everything we're doing here is spirit driven. I listen, I do. I listen, I do, and that's how I live my life. So I don't need no Christianity or no Islam to confine me to what we need to do. And since we've done that, we're free like a bird. We can actually think freely, do things freely, and basically there's basically no pressure in terms of all those things that God is going to do this to you. You're not going to go to heaven. What a load of facade. Sorry, I don't want to swear because I got kids listening, but heaven doesn't exist. Hell doesn't exist. It's basically an illusion. It is an illusion. I was just putting that out there. Anyway, thanks, guys. Nduku.
Oh, you're a better man. You're a better human being than I am because I forgot about the kids. Forget even about Listen, we had a friend, and it's funny because I'm about to read something. So this is Brother Patterson's first name. What is Brother Patterson's full name? Larry Patterson. Larry Patterson has written this book, The New African Proverbs, Random Sarcasms, Quips, and Witticisms. The other day he was on the phone speaking with a friend, and he kept talking, and every time I'm like, whoa, like he says something, I'm like, oh, I need to write that. Oh, I need to quote that. And then my friend says he's written a book where he has all that there. And I went through it yesterday, and it's interesting because now, and I say nothing is a coincidence, we're talking about religion, and one of the quips, one of the proverbs, one of the sayings that he's come up with, sometimes you must turn your back on religion to face God. Sometimes you must turn your back on religion to face God. I will say it one more time so that those of you who take a
Just,
minute, 2 minutes to get it,
to
can get
sink
it.
in.
I'll say it one more time because sometimes I'm in the mind space where it takes me a couple of minutes to get it. I'll do it slow. Sometimes you must turn your back on religion to face God. What I take from that is that religion is keeping me from facing God. Religion is keeping me from experiencing God. Religion is the barrier
Yeah,
between me and my God, right? And so I have decided to turn my back on religion so that I can experience true existence, true
yeah,
being,
yeah,
right? Which includes God. And so for us Africans, that is a very powerful message to take in and sit with. And we all need to sit with it. And I have no apologies. I am anti-religion. And we're getting to the point, in fact, not getting to. We are at the point now where we will not work with you as far as what we are doing if you're religious. Because we have not because we are stubborn, not because we don't give grace, not because we have no tolerance, but because we have realized through very, very difficult experiences that it is difficult to do revolutionary work with people who are still held back by religion. Because every time something's going to come up where you need them to stand against religion, and they will choose religion over revolution,
yeah,
over evolution, as Brother Patterson said. He doesn't want to be a revolutionist, he wants to be an evolutionist. We need to evolve. We need to evolve our thinking because it's already been co-opted,
yeah.
right? So we need to evolve it. If part of that is meaning reaching back to who we were, taking some of that and going forward with it, we need to hold on real quick. Do you hear the noise from the background, Oladile?
It's quiet now.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah,
So I am anti-religion for that reason. And my decision to be anti-religion is an informed and it's not just a because I have people who get on with me on the phone and they're trying to convince me to go back. My own family judges me for it. I've been called names. Now I just sit and look at you because I've built the strength to understand that my foundation, I'm standing just like you. Talk about Jesus is your foundation. African spirituality is my foundation, and I stand strong and firmly on it. There's no shaking me. You can call me all kinds of, I'm telling you, I will sit there and watch you call me all kinds of names. I will still stand by African spirituality, right? Because I believe it is the way forward and because it makes sense. African spirituality is not out here telling people, oh, you're not going to heaven because you wear this dress. You're not going to heaven because I had someone the other day telling me I should not wear pants. As a woman, I should not wear pants. And because I'm wearing pants, that's distancing me from God. I'm like, who the fuck is this God that's judging me by wearing pants? And how trivial and juvenile is his thinking?
yeah. It's picky. It's crazy.
Like, if y'all don't question who God is that is judging you by wearing pants, and ask yourself, like, why do I like this? God is lacking in mental capacity that he's gonna judge me and my humanity based on whether I'm wearing pants or not. Some of this stuff is ridiculous, and we need to move from it. So we are at the point, myself, my brother, the Imagine Alkebulan Bongia Ubuntu, where we understand in order for you to be revolutionary, in order for you to do the work that we are doing, you have to be anti-capitalist and you have to be anti-religion. Have to be.
Yeah,
Have to be.
it can't be one or the other because like under capitalism, look at how America, Great Britain, Canada, look at how they were all built. Yeah, by exploiting people, by killing people, by raping, murdering people. That's how they built their wealth. And then a lot of us actually adopting that system to think it's a solution. Like I said before, a few of you are going to make money. Yeah, a few will make money from it. But what about the majority of Africans? Should we continue to be where we are on that same system that's demeaning you? You know, I look in Lagos, like Nigeria. People will leave their villages where they have abundance to come to the city, which are called plantation. And they will come there trying to be the next big thing. And people strive for years. How many people are making it? Some people are going to make it. Trust me, people are going to make it. But the majority won't. And you have a system where most people, majority, do not benefit from. When majority don't benefit, the
Oh,
question is that system really working for us? Is that system working when the majority don't benefit? We need to build a system where the majority of people actually are empowered. When you have more people empowered and they have money to spend, that poverty goes. But the system does not want poverty to go, because they need people they wanna keep exploiting all the time. For Africans, mainly Africans, I'm just look at my country, Nigeria. I look at the level of poverty. I look at what's going on there, and I zoom home, and I'm thinking, capitalism is not working for Nigeria. Religiosity is not working for Nigerians. Look at how religious we are. We're so religious. Probably they got the biggest churches in Nigeria. The biggest churches. The biggest. They build it big. No factories, no proper schools, no good roads, but they allow Christianity and Islam because they know it's a distraction from what's really going on. Because when people move away from this and they open their eyes and see, they need to basically focus on the government and hold them accountable. But religion distracts them because they go to church, keep praying for things that they can do for themselves. Guys, you don't even need to pray for nothing. All you got to do is do. God has put that spirit in you. It's giving you everything you need, all the ammunition you need to do what you need to do. May I say prayer is action in motion. When you're doing something, you're praying to your higher consciousness to do something, and just the consciousness, listens to you, and it pushes you along because you tapped into the spirituality to do what you're doing. But when you say you're praying and all these things, man, all you're doing is wasting your time. Instead of you doing what you're supposed to do, you waste time there praying for things that are not going to happen because you've already been empowered to do those things anyway. Reaching out, tapping out to the right people, right connections, reaching out to people who think the way you do. So, guys, in the process of us decolonizing our minds, there's so many things that we need to get rid of. Too many of us are just too colonized in the mind, and that's really the biggest challenge, our mindset. Our mindset is basically where they got us the most. And once they got your mind, they've got you. So for us to actually decolonize our minds and actually embrace our true, authentic Africanness is a challenge for the Black race. Put it that way. Because unfortunately, your education is Eurocentric. In Africa today, how can there not be an Afrocentric school that teaches African history, African spirituality? How can there not be a school that teaches African Ubuntu economics? The kind of policies that we had, where we had the Council of Elders, nobody lorded over nobody. There was no hierarchy. We just had elders that basically were held responsible to make sure things were right. And they were called into question. They were challenged if things are not done right. Why can't we get that back? So, as long as we keep embracing everything Western, civilization, where did civilization come from, my brothers and sisters? It's from Africa. The Europeans went to Egypt, went to Sudan, went to the Nubia to learn everything they know today. They learned from us. Like they always do, they rebranded it, repackaged it, put their own spin on it, and they regurgitated it back to you. And you basically, you're just eating it up like it's a new thing. Even though what they're selling back to you is basically, repackaged and basically taking away from who you are. We have to say these things. We have to know where we are, because this is the reason why myself, Unduku, that's why we do what we do. We need to decolonize our minds. I say that over and over again. We need to decolonize our minds. You need to be African. A lot of us are going to struggle to know what Africanness looks like, because some of us don't even know, can't even feel it. But we need to start somewhere. Guys, if you need answers, questions, we know we can put you in contact with people. Mama Kanshile, when it comes to African spirituality, she's a powerhouse. We can reach out. You can reach out to us. We got guests coming up. We're going to talk about these things, guys. But we are our own solutions, guys. The solutions is getting away from the death economy systems that we've embraced. It's going to take work. It might not materialize in our lifetime, but we need to sow the seed. We need to start doing something differently, because the death economy that we actually embracing and following right now, I cry for Africa. I cry for Nigeria. I cry for Africans. We basically, basically now they're saying if there's any disease, if there's a disease, it's basically we are guinea pigs for it. If there's anything that's bad, they bring it to Africa. Basically, they're being used as lab rats for everything that's bad. There's nothing good. I wouldn't say everything that the Western people have done is bad, but if you look at their mindset and how they built stuff, it's basically to exploit. So basically, Africans are basically the butt of the joke. For them to survive, they have to come from Africa. The Muzungus that you see in Africa, they will never leave Africa because they know what's there. But for some reason, you as African are running away from your continent where you have everything to come to plantation fields to place you think you're gonna make it there. Well, you have what you have, but because you've been indoctrinated to think that what you have is bad, well, they're coming. Why don't you think? Why are they in your country? Why they keep coming? And the stupid thing is, these people come to the continent with no visas, nothing. They can just walk in, and they put restrictions on you coming to their continent. And then they let you come in when they need workers, when they need people who are going to clean bombs. That's why they let you in, because they need you. So basically, your education trains you to be a plantation worker because they left the education for you. Why can we not get away from all these things Western? Like I said, I'm not going to discard everything Western, but if you look at the intention and the way on what they brought and how they brought it to us and how they packaged it to us, everything has been detrimental to Africans. It has been, and it's so blatant and obvious for us to see. But because want to so fit into this system, we want to be acknowledged by them. You want to get the DDD and the BBB and all the names and the chief title or whatever behind before you think, oh yeah, you've arrived. But at the end of the day, guy, all you do, Negro. Unfortunately, that's what you are. That's what you are, because at the end of the day, your education.
A miseducated one. A miseducated one.
Yeah, miseducated African Negro. Because your so-called education, why can't you use it to build your continent? You come to the West, you achieve so much in the West, and your backyard is smelly, but you still want to go back and do nothing about it. But you will spend all that effort building up the plantation. Why do you think the plantation is getting to where it's getting to? Because of your effort. All our efforts to basically, if without us, they can't survive. All the inventions are black, most of it is black people. But why can't we take that? This is intentional. Let's build Africa back. Why don't we connect with each other? We can actually build if we have the right mindset, the right attitude. Put your egos aside. Concerted effort. Just go. Let's build a community. Let's go. Let's at least start with a project. Let's start building Black Africa and see how far we're going to go. With all the efforts, 30, 40 years, you're in a white man's country. You're there. Most of you don't even want to go back home anymore. But your backyard, your Africanness, it's been called to question, and you don't want to do nothing about it. This is where this is what Nduku is. This is where we are at the moment. We are sick and tired of sick of the Caucasians. They can do whatever they want to do. I don't even care about what the white man does. But what concerns me is what we do in Africa and what they are doing in Africa. Because the more they keep coming to Africa, they're going to keep taking. And we're not stopping them. We're not stopping them. We just welcome them. I was at the airport the other day. A white man was in front of me. Nothing to declare. They let him go. I was right behind him. Guess what? They stopped me. I was so angry. I'm thinking, so is that person got two heads? A Caucasian person is not none of one of us. You let him go, and me, one of you. We look like each other, and you're stopping me. I said to the guy, "Are you okay in the head?" He said, "Oga, why are you saying that?" I said, "Yeah, you must be stupid. You let the white man go. That's the person you should be stopping. He's here to exploit your country. I'm not." But it couldn't understand what I was saying, and this is how messed up we are. Time to wake up, guys. Unduku, I'll let you go.
My brother, listen, nothing is a coincidence. The ancestors saw that you had a lot sitting in your spirit that was bothering you, and he said, today is not the day to invite the Mzungu woman. Today is the day for you and I to sit and chop it. Chop it up. Yep. Chop it.
We're gonna chop it up, man.
With the help of our brothers and sisters. So I again, we have been in a society where if things don't go right, you're sitting there like, damn it, my guest didn't show up, everything went wrong. No. Jane Elliott, bless you. Have a wonderful day. But clearly today was not the day for you to be on this session with us. Today was the day for us to chop it up. The book, again, is New African Proverbs, Random Sarcasms, Quips and Witticisms by Larry Patterson. That's the book. It's by the way, it's a quick read, right? It's not even a read. It's him putting down his witticisms, his quips,
Okay.
his random sarcasms, but they generate conversation. And I'm just gonna name a few. The one I just gave on religion. Let me see which other one that I can mention. Oh my God. Again, there's no coincidences.
What you got
And
there?
then we go to Maboma's comment. So this page, oh my God. Yeah. So this page, I tagged, as you can see, I put tags for all the quips in it. And I'll just read the one side. Rich is when you have something. Actually, I'll read only one because we don't have the author's permission to be sharing this, right? Rich is when you have something to do, something to share. Being rich is when you have something to do, something to share.
Yeah, I love that one.
Being rich
Yeah.
is when you have something to do and something to share. And don't think a Maserati that you can share. Don't think a mansion that you can share, but think wisdom, think survival, think what promotes life, right? If you have something to do that promotes life, if you have something to share that promotes life, you are rich. Because without life, what is richness, right? What without life, what benefit do riches have for you or the people around you? So and that's another one. Sit with it, where we have to change our mindset as far as what we consider rich. So Maboma again says, suppose the US Census or general job forms used Bantu. And this is something that my brother and I were talking about when we were like, okay, the question of race. When you fill in the forms, it's black, white, other. Now they have other, because I always click other for situation. Anyway, they have other now. And what other one? Asian, I think, is there too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Black African, Black British.
no,
Yeah. In our case,
they don't split that one.
we have Black
That
British, Black. We have Asian British. We have to break it down in the UK. So yeah.
you all have lost your minds. Again, this is the extent that they try to go to show us that they are accommodating us while they are kicking our behinds. Suppose the US Census or general job forms used Bantu, African, Caucasian, and Asian as race prompts versus Black, Caucasian, and Asian. What is the concept difference and associated narrative? This is, first of all,
Let's
that
go
would
there.
mean that they cannot use their divisive tactics, which is a very powerful tool for them. So in order for them to do that would be empowering us, which they would never do, not on this planet. You heard what they did to accommodate in the UK. Now they break it up, but they'll never say just all of us are Bantu African, because they know that empowers us.
Yeah.
They'll not do that. They know it empowers us. So that's the difference. That's the associated narrative. It means that we are one, and when we start seeing each other as one, we're going to move as one against our enemy. And that's a powerful,
Yeah.
powerful mindset to get to. They will not allow that, Maboma. The good thing is we're not asking them for permission. The good thing is we don't give a shit what they'll allow or not. We're taking it. We are Wana Ubuntu, right? Not necessarily Bantu, because the groups, the way they're divided, right? It was divided by white people. But when you look, if you're a linguist, when you look at the linguistics, you can see the grouping, how it's decided, that there is some logic behind it. So the groups in the West have certain linguistic patterns, certain cultural similarities, and the groups in the East have certain cultural similarities and all that. And yes, there are certain clusters of nations that have similar ways and all that. But again, sitting down with Mama Kanyisile, sitting down with Nyaka Lagoke, we have found out that the way of Ubuntu is the thing that is common in all of us, in
All of
Sia
us.
Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Take the whole map, even including the part that they've cut out because they don't want to show that we are
Mhm.
biggest. We're the biggest landmass. All of us, the common thing between all of us, find out what it is in your language. Essentially, how you carry your actions is driven by whether it's going to promote life in your community or whether it's going to destroy, and you make decisions for that. That is I am because you are, right? See, expanding on it. So figure out what it's called in your language. It will have a different name, but it is the same concept, the concept of Ubuntu. So if we understand, and it has been carried into Brazil, it has been carried into Haiti, the Asian revolution, this is what they use, the concept of Ubuntu. We must come together to fight this. They were Yoruba there. There were people taken from a different area, but they had to come together to fight their enemy, and they did. And that's Ubuntu. For those of you who think Ubuntu is about just kumbaya, sitting together, holding hands, and eating African food and dressing in African ways, nah. Ubuntu is also slicing your enemy's throat so that they don't cause harm to you. Ubuntu is also banning the truck that is carrying the blankets that are infected with disease, so that it doesn't, the next morning you're not waking up to a whole village that is on the ground dead. Literally. Like, you all will sit there. I find out as an African that there's a UN, UNESCO, whatever you want to name it, truck bringing aid to my village. And I find out that it has been laced with disease. And I sit there and ask, oh, if I ban it, that's being criminal. Oh, I'm gonna be a criminal. I can't be a criminal. Oh, my religion says I can't. Hell no. Where's the match? Where's the oil? Let's burn this. And this is the mindset that we need to get to. That's Ubuntu. I must protect my community. This truck must go up in flames. Those blankets are not getting to the community.
Oh well,
But we're not there.
You know what? If Africans actually wake up and realize the infiltration and how bad things are in Africans, the moment you see a Caucasian, you wouldn't even let their feet touch the African soil. But most of us just don't. You don't even know the gravity of what they've done and what they continue to do to us. If you know what they've done and how they continue to mess us up, man, you see a Caucasian. I'm sorry, I'm unapologetic about what I'm saying, because seeing them on our continent is basically pisses me off. The way that we treat our oppressors as our saviors, it pisses me off. These guys are not your solution. They're basically poisoning you to die slowly, gradually. That's what they're doing to us. But you would open your backsides up for them to come in and just embrace him, like, guys, wake up. So I just had to interject in that one, because we don't understand, we don't realize that they are not enemies. I'm on LinkedIn and I see so many posts, and Tinubu was in France the other day. The German president came to Nigeria. Why do you think they keep coming? They're not coming because they like you. Nigerians, a white man coming to visit doesn't mean they don't like you. They're basically looking to siphon. Put it this way: look at your currencies, guys. If the white man likes you, why do they allow you to decolonize, devalue your currency against their currency? And they will come to your continent, yeah, and their money goes far, and yours that they devalue cannot buy what they're selling to you. Make it make sense.
Why are they not letting you make your own goods and sell them to yourselves? Why? If they like you so much.
Why, if they like you so much? So we need to industrialize Africa, but your currency has been so devalued that for you to buy the machinery becomes a problem. Why? Because they want to keep dominating you.
Yet the diamond that is used to make these machineries is gotten from Africa.
Yes, but they don't want you to make it in Africa. So when you start thinking logically, when you see a white person, even a white business should not be encouraged. They're talking about foreign investments all the time. Foreign investments for who?
And Kenyans are crying. Kenyans are crying. Oh, the protests are going to send away the foreign investors.
Yeah,
yes.
Good, really, let them go. We don't need them. I said all the time, we do not need foreign people in our country. We don't need their business in our country. When they go, we will find ourselves, we'll find our feet easily. We guys, we have the ability to do anything we want to do anyway. It's just the fact that they keep just stopping us from doing what we need, because we see solutions in them instead of seeing solutions in ourselves. If they're not there, guys, we existed, we survived before they came. When we get rid of them, we will thrive. We thrived. We did not pollute. We did not destroy. We lived in harmony with our ecosystems and our environment. The moment they came in, you can see what's going on. Yeah. You're talking about Galamsey in Ghana, the gold mines. See how they're destroying the water people are drinking. There's so much things going on,
Thank
and
you
all
for
it's down. Yeah.
thank you for mentioning that, brother, because it reminds me of the book that I'm currently reading, The Looting
Mm,
Machine. So this is another book. Let me just grab that quickly. Thank you so much for mentioning Ghana, because I'm on the chapter that's talking about Ghana and the gold mine.
mm,
And do you know that they use, hold on, let me pull it up. It's The Looting Machine by Tom Burgess. I will write it in the chat for those of you
okay.
who want to see the spelling. But something I didn't know that is used in mining gold, cyanide.
Yeah.
Did you know that
It's
cyanide is used in
yeah,
mining
yeah, yeah,
gold?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And in Ghana, when they first started, it leaks into the water,
It does. Since
right?
if you see the
It
waters, if
leaks
you see
into
how
the water.
polluted, you see how polluted. Now they haven't got a drinking water.
So this man goes to feed his dogs, his two dogs, fish from the water before they find out that there's anything. The next morning, the two dogs are dead. This is in The
Mm,
Looting Machine, the book, and I'm going to put again the title and the author's name. And later, in hindsight, he realizes the dogs were poisoned, right? They realize because now they're doing the investigation, they're seeing now effects on human beings. Do you know that the company comes back and says they did a research and it shows that it has no effect on human beings? And
of
I'm sitting
course.
there, I'm like, the fish are dead, the dogs are dead. Why are you, human being, going to believe these white people telling you that it has no effect on what on human being? Not just that, the people who came for that, the security people who came for that research and were looking into it, did not drink the water there. They brought their own water. So if it has no effect on human beings, why are they bringing their own water? My point being, we need to do our own research. We must stop relying on our enemies. They are our enemies, our past colonialists, past enslavers, to do research and to tell us what time it is, right? Your water is not poisonous. You can go ahead and drink it. The dog is dying. The fish are dying. Why would I think it's not going to kill me as a human being? So, The Looting Machine, I'll put it in the chat again, by Tom Burgess, is a book that every African who wants to understand how things are, who wants to liberate Africa, must. It's not, I'm not asking you, and I know for those of you who don't have money to buy it, reach out to us. We can figure out ways you can get it. Reach out to me. For those of you who follow me, if you don't follow me and reach out to me. I'll figure out a way of getting the book to you, right? But you must read this book. And actually, what we're going to do is figure out a way of reaching out to the author so that we can cover the book as one of the topics on our broadcasts.
Yeah,
That
be a
way,
good
at
one.
least you can listen to that. If you
Yeah.
cannot read, at least you can listen. We'll talk about the main topics so that you at least have some information through that way. Here's another one, Oladile. And our sister has decided, Faith Akinyi
Yeah,
Koro,
I was actually gonna bring that up. Actually, I highlighted
our
it.
sister has decided that she's going to, yeah, what I should say. She's
Yeah,
decided she's gonna give us a question that we'll have to sit with, and
yeah. I've been
I
looking
need
at
to
that one.
know. I need to know what you would guide a child on about leaving religion. Do you want to go first? I have actually personal experience on it, but do
Yeah,
you want to
I'm
go
gonna go
first?
by my basically. I'm gonna go my personal experience of leaving religion.
Exactly.
Obviously, I left church now probably about 7 years ago now, and initially it was a struggle. Even though we left church, but we're still doing church at home. But I still had questions. But as I, the fact that I'm not in the confines of the church basically allowed us to actually think. And then when we sat down there, me and my wife and my kids basically we go through the Bible and we're asking questions and we keep asking questions and then we answer our own questions. And then what it did is basically made us give us more questions than answers. Because as you ask the questions, then the solutions don't make sense because you still have to go into the Bible to get answers, which doesn't make no sense. So what we've done, what basically our experience is basically, I personally decided after a while, you know what, I'm gonna throw that Bible aside. I don't even need to refer to the Bible anymore. And what I did and what I personally did is basically go within to my spirit. There's something with as Christians or Muslims you don't do. You don't listen to your spirit. They tell you that your spirit comes through the Holy Spirit and all that kind of stuff, not realizing that the Spirit of God is in you. But what I started to do and what guides me now is my spirit. My spirit speaks to me all the time. And that basically is what I used to do, what I do. Everything I do in my life today is guided by what my spirit tells me. I listen. So it's a process. It takes time. But the first thing is just get away. Just get away from, just throw Christianity and religion and Islam, just throw in the garbage bin for a bit and sit with yourself. Probably start meditating within yourself and start, just listen to yourself, because God speaks to you. And that's basically what I've done. That's basically what's got me to where I am right now. So there's no, I don't know, answers vary and people's journeys are different. Your experiences are different. But for us, I'm talking about myself and my wife, because I was far gone, because my wife is still holding to the Bible. But me, I threw the Bible away straight away. I said to my wife, I don't even want to read that junk anymore, because it makes no sense. She was still saying a few things really. And the Bible was African history anyway, plagiarized. So there's few things in there that are going to resonate with you because they copied it from us anyway, because a lot of us did. But I said to myself, if they put all that together and it's deceitfully put together, why should I believe anything in that book anyway? So I was comfortable throwing it away. Obviously, my wife came along, and she now, I think we're on the same level now where she doesn't even bother with it no more because she was holding on to it. But it's a process. So if you want to do this, first and foremost, just get away from the religion first of all, and then look inwards, and then your spirituality, your spirit in you will guide you the next way. And basically, if you listen, you would hear. It's hard for people to do, but when you listen to your spirit, you'll be surprised how you hear God speak to you. Your creator, not their God, but your creator speak to you. And that's basically my process. That's how I got away from the whole religion facade.
So I have shared before. I'm going to share first of all my experience, and then I'll share something that I just did. So, Faith Akinyi, when we decided to walk away from the church, the thing I said to my children is, let's focus on treating your fellow human beings the way you want to be treated, right? Be kind, be caring, be respectful. Um, do not do things that are harmful. I'm trying to push in them, as you're studying, think about things that are going to help you serve your community, right? If you study something and it's not helping you serve your community, it's not going to be good. And I think that is humanity, right? That's godliness. That is, if we have our creator, right? When you create something, you don't want to see it destroyed unless it's a harmful thing, right? That's the only time you destroy it, when you realize it causes harm. For those of us who are responsible human beings, not the Elon Musks of the world, who realize something causes harm and still continue building it. No, not the Trumps of the world. I'm talking about those of us who understand that humanity must be sustained, right? And nurtured. When you realize something you've created is harmful, you destroy it. So, but you don't want to see it destroyed if it's not harmful. So if we have a creator, he doesn't, or she, you see, I'm still working my way away from Catholicism, where we believe that it's a he. The creator does not want to see humanity destroyed, right? So everything that promotes life, everything that promotes the sustenance, the nurturing, and the continuation of life is where you ground yourself in. And that is actually African spirituality. That is how African spirituality operates. So that's how I have done it with my kids. Okay. As you were asking the question, I said, let me go to ChatGPT and prompt a question there. And when I prompt my questions, like I've said, I understand that ChatGPT has been created by white people, and therefore I'm very specific. What advice is best to give an African child on moving away from religion and embracing African spirituality? That's my first prompt. And if the answers that came were suspect, I would have regenerated another prompt and said, take away white supremacist bias, take away democracy bias, take away, like, all the things that I used to interfere with us thinking in our own way, take it away in the answer, right? That's what I would have said. But this prompt by itself gave me answers that are satisfactory, so I didn't need to do that. The one answer, it says, Faith, and the others who need this information, encourage curiosity about their roots. Explain how African spirituality is deeply rooted in the child's heritage, right, and culture. Share stories of how their ancestors lived in harmony with nature, honored their lineage, and practiced values of Ubuntu. right? Highlight that African spirituality is about connecting with their inner self, their community, and the natural world, rather than
Yeah.
adhering to rigid dogmas.
Yeah.
That there is a powerful tool to use in
Yeah.
speaking to
Yeah.
your kids.
Yeah.
Number two, teach history and context. Help them understand the historical context of how religion was introduced to Africa through colonization and its role in disrupting African cultural systems. Use examples to show how African spirituality was demonized to control and divide communities. And this is both Islam and Christianity. This is
Yep.
what was done. Share the idea that African spirituality predates colonization and is a key to reclaiming their identity and heritage. And share, while you're sharing that, share that we thrived when we were practicing African spirituality. The environment around us, thrived. We were living harmoniously together. Foster critical, and when we talk about these things, we're talking about the general concept. I'm not talking about the exception of where this king was killing people, that community was killing people. So don't come back at us with that. We're talking about the general society, how it was operating. Foster critical thinking. And if you come back at us, we'll just ignore you because that's where we are now. Foster critical thinking. Encourage them to ask questions about beliefs they were taught and explore whether these align with their personal experiences and values. Teach them that questioning doesn't mean disrespecting. Instead, it's a way to grow and find their truth. That's a tricky one there. Teaching them that questioning um, does not equate disrespecting, right? Because there's a line they must not cross.
Mm.
Questioning must be done with respect. And you can teach them how to do that because there's certain questioning that is disrespectful and you must help them land the line. And I'm towing this line very cautiously with my children. They'll sometimes ask a question and I'll be like, that was disrespectful. How is it disrespectful? I'll break it down for them. Sometimes I have patience, sometimes I don't have patience. The days I don't have patience, I'll just walk away.
Mm.
But these are challenges. When your child is growing up in the West, these are the things that they don't understand, that there's a disrespectful way to ask a question. And the same question can be asked in a respectful way, and they need to understand that. And then showcase, number four, showcase African spiritual practices. Introduce them to African spiritual practices such as libation, ancestor veneration, storytelling, communal gatherings, and natural healing. Kwanzaa is coming up. Take them to Kwanzaa celebrations. Start with a Kwanzaa celebration that's not too Kwanzaa. And I'm saying this because we're trying to gently bring them so that they don't resist, right? So start bringing them around that. The way we started was in Clubhouse. There's a group of us who started discussing Kwanzaa, and we made it a daily practice. So every morning I'd send them a text, and I'll be, because they're going to school, I'm going to work. Today is Umoja. What are you going to do today that is going to promote Umoja, the spirit of unity in school, right? Things like that. Today is Kujichagulia. What are you going to do today to promote the spirit, the principle of self-determination? So that's one way I approached it. Teach them that explain that these practices are not about worshiping idols or fearing punishment, but about building a connection with themselves, their ancestors, and the universe, because we are tied together and we cannot detach ourselves from our ancestors because they are us, we are them. So that's what that is. Discuss universal values. So point out that, and let me see, this might be where I need to stop and tell ChatGPT, you've crossed the line. Point out that African spirituality emphasizes universal values such as respect for life, interconnectedness, accountability, and
Yep.
balance. These are values that resonate across cultures, right? So for those who want to come and tell us anything, we good. You don't need to tell us how great yours is. We good. We have things in our culture that you actually embrace. So chill, move, do your thing, and let us be. Number six, make it relevant to their lives. Show them how African spirituality can help them find peace, resilience, and purpose in modern life. For instance, practicing mindfulness or connecting with nature can be healing and grounding. Share examples of how African spiritual practices, principles like Ubuntu oneness, can guide how they treat others and view themselves, right? Number seven, offer resources and guidance. We have Kumbukeni is a resource. The Imagine Alkebulan is a resource. Kimbunga is a resource. I mentioned Kimbunga because I recently watched, they had a gentleman, and I'm forgetting his name, but they had a session recently, about a month or so ago, on African spirituality. The way he broke it down was brilliant. I'm going to share that while Oladile
Yeah.
speaks. I'm going to
Yeah.
share that in the
Yeah.
chat. It was brilliant. So share certain that channel and that share with your children. Watch it with them. Watch it with them because they might have questions, and when they have questions, you want to be there to answer them. And if they're resistant, because a lot of them, I have teenagers and they're resistant, find other ways. These are just multiple solutions. Pick the ones that work for your child. Offer resources, provide books, films, stories that celebrate African spirituality and its practices, such as works by Sheikh Anta Diop or African-centered storytellers like Chinua Achebe. In South Africa, my goodness, why am I forgetting his name? I'll try and remember his name.
Ngugi
In South
Wationgo.
no, South
Yeah,
Africa.
no.
South Africa, he was very much about African spirituality. I'll remember his name and I'll
Is that
share it.
Zendi? No,
No. I'll remember
no.
his name in a minute.
Okay.
And then lead by example. That's actually the most important one. Lead by example. You can't, none of us can be out here talking about we need to be revolutionary when we're not revolutionary. I can't be out here talking about you can't buy a car that's more than 30,000 and then go ahead and buy a $50,000 car. I can't be out here talking about we cannot exploit and promote exploitative practices, right? If I can help myself, you can't be doing that. So same thing with African spirituality. You can't tell your children, do this, do that, if you're not doing it yourself. And I don't know about your children, but my children are really good at calling me out when I do stuff like that. Like when I tell them something and I'm doing it, they are quick to call me out. So
Yep.
I have their help in checking me. So lead by example, be patient and supportive. This is something I'm learning later in life, patience and support. And now if like something is bothering me, I'll just be quiet and walk away and then I'll address it later. And I'm not perfect in that. Sometimes I'm still going back to my old ways, but patience and support is big on this because you need it yourself, so give it to them. Inspire pride in African identity, celebrate the richness of African traditions and philosophies, help them see African spirituality as a source of pride. One way that it's been easy for my kids to embrace African culture is through food. Use that, exploit that, and you're exploiting it in a positive way. Use that, right? The clothing, not so much, because they're going to Western schools and, they're going to be called names and stuff if they dress African. So that, not so much. They'll warm up to some stuff, but not everything. But the food, hands down, the food, they stand by it. They're proud of it. They talk about it to their friends. So that's one way to get to your kids to celebrate African culture in general. Take them to events. We have events. We have African dance in New York. We have Odunde in Philadelphia. For those of you who are in the United States, there are events in Africa. Take them to events so that they can start seeing and figure out a way of including things they like in the event. So if they're dreading going to an event, put in an activity that they like with that activity so that they at least it can calm them down, right? They're more receptive. But these are the things that ChatGPT generated just now when you asked the question, my sister Faith Akinyi. I hope they help. Brother, we at 133. I think we've chopped it up enough. I don't know. Is there any other question we didn't address? Credo Mutua. Thank you, Professor Cashback. That is who I was thinking about, Credo Mutua. Yes. What else did I say I was going to share in the chat? The link. You're muted, my brother. Oh, Kimbunga's video. So go ahead and say something and then I'll get that video. Credo Mutua.
Yeah, there is basically. Do we have strategic plan of unlearning indoctrination in all domains implanted in us? Up for the question up there. Do we have strategic plans of unlearning indoctrination? This one here is basically a tough one.
Reading our people, not the white man, reading our people, but also, as John Henry Clark was advised, reading them as well, because reading them helps you understand who they are. Go on, brother.
Yeah, basically, like I said, we need to understand our enemies. I've lived in the West and I've basically understood how they are. So it informs me to know how to deal with them and build myself up to where we need to be. So that's very important because you need to know your enemies, you know, to how they think. Anyway, do we have strategic plans of unlearning indoctrination in all domains implanted to us? This one's a difficult one. African is Western.
We lost you there for a second.
Okay.
Start over. We lost you.
Okay. This one is a tough one because every system, every institution is Western. Everything is Western, basically. So we need to start building. And how do we build? The only way we can do this is find people who are intentional about doing this. And this is the challenge because we still want to be part of the Western systems, that we don't want to take ourselves away. I know that some people are already doing it, but if we're going to do this, we need to be strategic about finding the people who are intentional about building these platforms, these institutions, these schools. I personally would love to build a school in Nigeria that's purely Afrocentric, that teaches Africa, nothing colonial at all. I would love to do that, but we need to find each other to do that. So this one is we need the plans. We need to find each other to do this. It's not an easy one because, like I said, our institutions are colonized in Africa today. Basically, your curriculum are still Western. That Western curriculum needs to be torn apart. We need to be thrown in the garbage bin, and we need to start building schools that are Afrocentric. It's a hard one, but it's something that we need to do. So that's all I can say about that one. We just need to find each other. We need to find people who are doing this, who are authentically doing this, who are not compromised with the Western crap. I'll leave it as that.
So
Um,
I actually have I suggest and I'm sharing this based on my experience, right?
hmm.
Reading. You've got to read.
Yeah, that's very important. I agree with that.
Reading. You have to
Yeah,
read our writers Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Credo Mutwa, Sheikh Anta Diop, Nkrumah. Those are people. Malcolm X is a
yeah,
great one. Walter Rodney, most
yeah,
definitely. Walter Rodney, How
yeah.
Europe Underdeveloped Africa, is a Bible read. You
Andika, I'll
must
send
read.
that. Guys, if you want to go to our website, www.arkebulans.com, go to Arkebulan Reading. All the writers that Underku's mentioned, they're all there. So go and check them out. So like reading, we got to where we are because we read books that challenge the crap that was put in our heads, and basically we were able to get rid of it by reading those books to think differently. So yeah, I agree. Carry on, sis.
And then be around people who are grounded in these ways, right? You cannot be like, as unfortunate as it is, I don't hang out with friends who don't believe in these things anymore. And I have been struggling with this. They're really, really good friends, but I really have nothing to talk to them about anymore. Like, we can talk about superficial stuff, but for so long. And they're really, really, really good friends that are dear to me. But I cannot be in a room talking about Dolce and Gabbana and how we're gonna go to the spa, and while people are dying, I just can't. So that's another thing. And it doesn't mean that you always have to be miserable. I'm around people who think the way I think, and we have moments where we are kiki-keying and laughing out loud, and we have moments where we're having a good time. But that's another thing. You have to change your company. You cannot be hanging around people who are supporting exploitative ways. That's another way to indoctrinate yourself. Another way is there's a lot of virtual African schools. For those of you who have children, look into them, and we'll share them soon. Unfortunately, some of the schools that we've supported, I don't want to be specific, are leaning towards Western ways. And I am really, really disappointed about this. And this is what Wazungu will do. They'll see something we're doing is good, and they'll come to us to try and co-opt it. The thing is, you must stand firm. These African schools you see around doing stuff doesn't mean that they haven't been approached. It's that they stood firm. They understood what it means to work with the Mzungu. The Mzungu doesn't know better than you. I don't care how much money they're giving you, say no. Say no. You must say no. Otherwise, you're done. Your African, the way you are going, African education is gone the minute you join international, whatever it is. You're done. Just forget about it. So this is the unlearning of it. The other thing about unlearning indoctrination is being brave and being strong spiritually, because it means confronting yourself and your beliefs.
Yep.
It means holding yourself accountable. That's actually the hardest part about it. I would be in Dr. Carr's class, and I'll share that too. In Class with Carr on YouTube. Hold on. In Class with Carr on YouTube. That's another one that you all need to so go to the past sessions. You have to start at the beginning. You have to start at the beginning. And I'll say by Dr. Carr, Greg Carr, because he's the main educator there. Karen Hunter is the money behind it, the producer behind it, but Dr. Carr is the educator, which is why I'm giving his name and not Karen Hunter's name. Not that I'm taking away from her, but just that's who I want you to listen to, Greg Carr, right? Because that's who's chopping it up in a way that will help you unlearn indoctrination. And then, like I was saying, hold yourself accountable. That's the hardest part. And it's a continuous journey, it never stops. You have to sit back and say, oh, I'm practicing this. Like I was saying, I used to be in his classes and I would feel like he's attacking me. But you have to stop taking it personal. You have to sit and say, okay, what am I doing that is not promoting life in my community? That's the thing. Remember, everything we do, it has to nurture life. That's the decision. That's where you decide, is this good or bad? Is it nurturing life or is it not nurturing life? If it's not, you must walk away and you must label it as bad. You cannot be in the middle. Oh, but what if we take this part of it? But what? No. If it does not nurture life, walk away. That is my grounding principle. So I hope these, and I'm glad we had a moment to just chit chat. Um, I'm glad we
Yeah.
had a moment to chat.
Basically, this is just a call to the Alkebulan Awakening, guys. That's all we're doing. We're doing all these things simply because we need to wake up. Yeah. Critical thinking, self-reflection, engaging in open dialogue. I love that.
Thank
That's
you,
my that's
Kehinde. Oh,
that's that's my
that's my
wife there.
that's my sister.
Yeah. And we, myself and my wife, have come a long way, and we are where we are because we just see the beauty in being ourselves, and not co-opted by any kind of religion, not holding up to any kind of dogma, and it actually frees your mind. You can actually think
Hmm.
freely.
It
So we
does.
need to decolonize our minds, guys. There's nothing, and I'll say this emphatically, unapologetically. There's nothing Western that's gonna free you. All it does, it puts you in shackles. You're gonna get indebted to a mortgage, to a
Hmm.
car, to the trinkets. Basically, then you worship those things because you want to make all those monies. At the end of the day, you lose your soul because you will never be fulfilled with the trinkets and the mirrors that you accumulate. The only way you can be fulfilled is basically to reach out to your fellow human being, work in community, and build within ourselves. And this is what we Africans need to do. We need to build within ourselves, man. We know we can accumulate certain things, but let's do it in community. Let's build wealth in
Yeah.
community. That's what we need to do. And basically, like then everybody would not lack. The
Hmm.
haves and not have nots is basically not African way.
No.
It's a Western concept. But with so, I see how people are chasing things, and the people are willing to kill themselves. They're willing to sell their brothers and sisters, ritualize their mother and sons just to make money, just to have a car and a house and an iPhone in Africa. This is how bad this is.
I'm gonna
So,
say thank you, brother.
yeah,
I'm gonna say thank you to Jen Elliott for not showing up today. This is
yeah, yeah,
thank you. You gave us an opportunity to have a conversation, many conversations that we have been needing to have, and our
mm,
audience, our people. And this is so, like I said, on Kumbukeni, I think it's this coming week. I said, Oladile, we're going to do it. Myself, Oladile, Mama Kanyisile. We're just going to talk about again, have something like this, but more
yeah,
focused. We're going to chop up the 2025 project, 2025. And
yeah,
the goal here is to show you that if the white man we're talking about conservatives in the United States, are this quick at putting together a project to say, we're being taken out, this is our community is at risk, this is what we need to do so that we can stop it. You as a black person, you as a Mwana Ubuntu, why are you hesitating?
yeah,
Why are you hesitating to do the same? That's the reason why we're going to be diving into 2025, so that we can show you what they have the balls, the kahunas, the caucasity to stand by and call it an official document in their government, while you are hesitant, worrying about people's feelings, and you're being killed.
yeah. I agree, guys. Yeah, we're gonna leave it here. Thanks for joining us. We have projects coming up. We have more guest speakers lined up through the year. This is going to be a last Alkebulan Awakening Series for the year, but we'll see with Bill Winduku next week. But this is our official, so this is going to be the last one. But we're going to be talking about health. We're going to talk about economics because I've been trying so hard to find an economist to break down economics, which way forward. I've been searching and searching, but I finally found somebody who's going to tell me about how
Mm.
Africans could manage their own economics. That's coming up. So look for, and then we're talking about African history. We're bringing all these topics for you to critically think. We are our own solutions. We cannot look to our oppressors, our colonizers to be our solutions, guys. We can copy good things from them, adapt it, but build it within the Ubuntu philosophy. Let it be communal. Let it be empowerment to our own people. Let it not be detrimental. Let's get away from the death economy and let's breathe life into Africa. We need life economy, Ubuntu. Agbajiwala Finsoya is my Yoruba language. We, community putting together. This is what we need to build up, my brothers and sisters. Once again, for those of you who are looking forward to seeing Jane Elliott, like Unduku said, it's basically giving us an opportunity to have a chat. So you see where our heart is, you know where we are. We're uncompromising, and I'm uncompromising, unapologetic about what I say, man. I don't give a shit, excuse my language, about what the white people think about us. We need to start thinking about ourselves, because they don't care what we think about ourselves. They care about how they're going to exploit us. So I rest. Yeah.
They do care a hell lot about what we think of them. Oh my God, they care a hell lot about what we
Save
think
the
of them.
dates. Good, nice one,
Yes,
Nduku.
talk about that. Yes.
So,
Please save the date. We're going to put
yeah.
it out. We'll put out the information. We'll put out the registration forms. Save the date. We're going to have a virtual conference February 15th and 16th for a Unity Mbongi. That will not be the title. I just called it now, but the goal is to unify us towards action, right? We'll have different, this will not be your usual conference. This will be a conference where we're discussing what must be done. How are we going to do it? That one you're doing this, that one you're doing this, that one you're doing that. Is this a good solution? No, yes. This is more, those of you who are in Western culture, this is more think tank than conference. But go on, brother.
Yeah, so basically we're bringing speakers together, and like Nduku said, we're basically gonna talk the topic, discuss the topic, and then break it down. Okay, how do we relate it to bringing our own Afrocentric solutions? And guys, we have the brain power, we have the knowledge, we have everything we need, man.
It's gonna be a workshop. Let's call it that. It's gonna be a workshop.
Yeah.
So the presenter presents on a topic. For example,
and
then the first topic is gonna be transformation versus change, right? Our brother Dr. Jackson is gonna present, and then right after his presentation, we'll go into workshop mode. We'll talk about how do we implement this? How does it look like? So that's what, and it's gonna be. I think we have 5 speakers now, and after each speaker, we're doing the same thing. Then we're saying we're going to have timelines of what must be done when it must be done. So we're coming together to do the work that must be done, uniting.
We're coming together to bring solutions, our own solutions, and not solutions from outside. Like I always say, look inwards. The solutions are within us. So we're coming together virtually, 15th and 16th of February. I can't wait, guys, because we're doing what we're doing for a reason. It's spirit-led, it's spirit-driven. We're not here for the sake of being here. We're here because it's spiritually led. We know things need to be done. Some of us need to be shut out to make sure we do what we need to do. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks for watching.
See what Ndugu Bakoseya has said in the chat.
What's that? Yeah. I've seen that. Thanks, Michael. Yes. We appreciate you, my brother.
This is true. We have noticed it in ourselves too. To see the journey of myself and my brother, you can watch from episode 1 to now. And this is the journey for all of us.
And the thing is that as we do what we do, we're learning all the time, because we bring different speakers, we're reading, and you kind of reflect, you chop it together, and it kind of gives you a different perspective. You see things differently, and it opens your eyes to see things the way, a different way. And that's all we're saying. It's just decolonize your mind. Use the critical thinking that your creator's giving you. That's what it's there for. The moment you tap into it, you'll be surprised how the road opens, man.
Asanteni. Guys. My brother, always good to be on the front lines with you.
Absolutely fantastic.
Be blessed. Say hello to my sister, to the kids, everyone.
Will do.
Be blessed, everyone.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.